John chapter 1, verses 40 through 42. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John had done and who had followed Jesus. First thing Andrew did was go and find his brother Simon and tell him, "We found the Messiah. We have found the Messiah. That is, we have found the Christ." And he brought him to Jesus. And Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which one's translated is Peter. You'll be called Peter. I don't think Peter ever forgot that initial encounter with Jesus. And he must have been puzzled. I've never had someone come up and change my name. Let me introduce myself to you, and you are now, I know who you are, but now now I have had people call me names, but they didn't change my name. They didn't change who I was. But here's Jesus, he changes his name. Do you think he was puzzled? Who's this guy? Changes my name. My name's Simon. So prior to Peter's dynamic lesson in humility on the shore of Galilee, he first met Jesus months earlier. It's on the northern shore of the Dead Sea. He made a 100-mile trip south to Jerusalem, perhaps to do business. And at the same time, he came down to visit his brother Andrew. And his brother Andrew at this point had already become a disciple of John the Baptizer. So Peter's anxious to see his brother, to spend some time in the area. And he probably wandered around in Jerusalem for a little bit, perhaps making his way through the fish markets to see what kind of deal he can make with the vendors. However, he soon discovered that everybody's talking about this wilderness prophet out there. He's preaching in Bethany, which is a small town. It's on the other side of the Jordan. And evidently, following the crowds, Peter was soon to discover that his brother had become more and more intrigued with John the Baptist's message. And what really grabbed Andrew's attention were John's statements about another teacher by the name of Jesus who had arrived on the scene. Could this be the Messiah? Is this the promised one? And Andrew was so captivated that he spent the entire day listening to Jesus, and he was convinced after listening to Jesus, we found the Messiah. This is who we have been waiting for our whole lives. And Andrew was ecstatic, and he goes rushing around to find his brother. And Peter must have said, baby brothers, you got to watch out for him all the time. What has he got himself involved in this time? What has he bought? Was this some kind of Jewish cult sort of thing? Because those things today just don't go well. John's message was not exactly politically correct. And it'd be natural for Peter to wonder, is Andrew okay? Has Andrew lost it? Is Andrew in some kind of danger? What's Andrew doing? So when the Lord saw Andrew approaching with Peter at his side, he saw right into the heart of this rugged, opinionated fisherman. The Lord simply looked at Peter and identified him. Simon, son of John. And they changed his name. Peter. Peter must have been terribly curious, but there's no biblical evidence that Jesus explained why he changed his name when he changed his name. It says nothing about it. A couple of years go by, and Peter's become one of the apostles now. Then one day, Jesus is talking to Peter, and he explains the name change, Petros, which means rock, which indicated the Lord had a great plan for this rugged fisherman. Peter would become the primary leader of the apostles, and together they would lay the foundation for the church that we're a part of today. When Jesus met Peter in Bethany, he was president of a fishing business. He was the boss. He had people that worked under him. But now the Lord called him to lead a group of men who would fish for men. His brother Andrew and their friends, James and John, they had all been business partners. But now these men became Peter's partners in a whole new arena, probably leaving their fishing business in the hands of Zebedee, the father of James and John.